door to all sorts of opportunities within the community, and this weekend is a very prime example of this. Working on the Reunion Troy Committee, and especially with Nelsie Leverett on this video, has been a wonderfully exhilarating and humbling experience. I was able to sit down and talk with someone who was on the beaches at Normandy. I heard the story of a man who was days away from being discharged when the Korean War broke out, and he found himself on his way to the front lines working with a real-life MASH unit. I interviewed a woman who did not one, not two, but 3 tours in the Gulf War, assigning vehicles to fresh, young-faced soldiers, never knowing if they would be returning. And I stole some valuable time from a young, active-duty soldier home on leave to visit her mom, but who wanted to be a part of this project. Today, we are here to tell veteran stories. We have one of the stars of our video with us today, Mr. Greg Wright. All 13 veterans with stories to tell. All 13 with experiences that they will never forget. Our video lasts an hour and 18 minutes, but I promise that it won't seem that long. Please enjoy the voices of our veterans.
Here's your canteen girl, Phyllis G.
I wish you luck in everything you do.
Yesterday,
That all your kids will be
December
here
7th,
from you.
1941,
Tomorrow's
a
ready
date which will live in infamy.
is my way.
The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked.
From San Francisco, with the morning news with Bob Dunn. The town of Vinh Linh, just inside the border of North Vietnam, was struck today by U.S. and South Vietnamese planes. One South Vietnamese plane was lost, however, the pilot parachuted safely.
G.I. Joe, G.I. Joe, fighting man, correct to go, on the land of the sea in the air.
G.I. Joe attack! Boom, boom! G.I. Joe, take this!
As Commander-in-Chief of the Army and Navy, I have directed that all measures be taken for our defense. But all of this, with our whole nation, remember the character of the onslaught against us. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory.
Branch of the service that I was in is the United States Army. I was in the preliminary stages of Operation Desert Shield. I served 13 months in the Sinai Peninsula for peacekeeping forces between each division. My family has a long background of military members. I've had distant relatives that have served in Cuban Missile Crisis, the Vietnam War. My brother and my father both are veterans. There have been several memories that I've had during my time in the service. I enjoyed the friendships, obviously, for a lot of lasting that you have in the military. The very first one that comes to mind is my tour in Fort Hood, Texas. I ended up having to perform CPR on a fellow soldier. The odd thing about that is the CPR that I had been trained on, I learned while working as an explorer cadet at the police department in Troy. And several months after that, I found myself in the military doing CPR on a fellow soldier and ended up getting an ARCON award for that. The structure of the military provided as we say, putting them under your wing. We're starting to doubt him. He was in the operation where I believe Jessica Lynch was kidnapped. A convoy was the convoy that actually got ambushed. And I didn't find out until several years later that he was one of the ones involved in it. But there's several key people. He was one of them that, was a pivotal part of helping me be the man that I am today. Several of my relatives that had gone to the military prior to me helped prepare me for that lifestyle, so to speak. Television and movies really can't depict what military life is about unless you're involved in it, either you're a dependent or an actual soldier. It's just so much more that goes on behind the scenes that most people don't know. But people still enjoy it. I enjoy it. From my sister's eating, someone comes up, thank you for serving. You're the police department, but it goes far beyond, that, a lot of dependents don't get recognition for the sacrifices that they make. Birthdays are missed, anniversaries are missed, your child's first walk, or steps, are missed. And those are things that the general public really don't get an idea of, what that's about.
What will you celebrate this Veterans Day?
Just the fact that I'm breathing, living in a country where I can make decisions on my own, and I have my family around me.
What do you want to say about veterans?
People that are currently deployed, stand fast, do what you're supposed to do, and the rest will take care of itself. Stay safe, and continue to strive to be the best you can be.
My name is Judy Tillery, and I joined in 1985. I served 31 years, 8 months, and 6 days for my retirement order set. I did 3 tours overseas, and other than that, most of my tours were just 2 weeks out of the year, here stateside, but I did a tour in El Salvador that was on a humanitarian mission that was like 2 months. It was really great. And I would encourage any young person to join the military. One of the favorite things that I felt about being in the military was I felt like I was giving back, And as far as being deployed, I always thought, well, if I go, maybe it'll keep someone else from having to go, whether it's your son or somebody else. They didn't have a chance to go into college, so they don't have to start the draft back and make them go. Because right now we have a volunteer force. Anybody's in the military, they're there because they want to be there. It's not because they were made to be there. My dad was in the military. He was in what they called the Army Air Corps at the time. Now it's called the Air Force. I had 2 brothers that served during the Vietnam era. My brother Johnny was in the Air Force, and I had a brother George that was in the Marine Corps. And they had a big influence on me. I always liked to see them in their dress uniforms. I thought they looked so nice, and and I just couldn't make it get mine, But it is awesome. The branch of service doesn't matter which branch you're in. It's just the fact that you're serving, you're doing something for your country. The military is an awesome way of life. Awesome. If you're young, it gives you a chance to travel. You go to different places, and just because you join the military doesn't mean you're going to a combat zone. There's stateside missions all the time. And in the military, it's just like Dane Smith makes us feel like right here. You're just as important in this building, whether you're the janitor, or you're the supervisor, or you're the director. In the military, you're just as important. If you're in that chow line serving food, as you are if you're sitting behind the desk getting an I still maintain contact with the people that I was in the military with through social media now. Used to, we would handwrite letters back and forth and call each other a lot. But now, with Facebook, we talk all the time. And it's a lot of fun. And it's so easy because you can talk to everyone at one time now. And I still have a lot of friends. Matter of fact, I had 2 that I was in Afghanistan with that have came through here, through Troy, going to Fort Rucker this side of the state in Midwest. The job I had, I got to see a lot of people coming through, and they was checking out vehicles from us. And there was one vehicle that I remember real well because there was a bunch of young kids that was in their early 20s that were hitting it. And it was brand new, and I was telling them, no, there's something out in your truck. I was just picking at them. And they actually
21st Material Management Center out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where I was subsequently deployed to Kuwait from there. Then I was reassigned to 3rd Battalion, 485th Infantry Regiment out of Fort Benning, Georgia, which is a drill sergeant unit. Then I was reassigned to the 375th CSSB out of Mobile, Alabama. I've been deployed to Qatar, which is in the Middle East, Kuwait in the Middle East, and Afghanistan. During my years in active with the Army Reserve, I've been to Germany, Korea twice, Bulgaria, and Antigua in the Caribbean. Military, you learn teamwork, problem solving. There's a lot of emphasis on problem solving and working through issues, and individually and as a group, to my fellow veterans, explore the benefits that are out there for you. There are a lot of them available.
My name is Jack Norton. I was in the United States Army. I went in 1958, discharged in 1961, served in Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Gordon, Georgia, and then I went to Germany for a little over a year. I was in the United States Army, served in Fort Benning, Georgia, Fort Jackson, South Carolina, Fort Gordon, Georgia, and Germany. The town in Germany was so small, it was Manslaughter, but it was so small, no one knew or ever heard of it. I signed up to be a helicopter pilot, and so somehow when I got through basic training, they sent me to military police school. I stayed in military police. In fact, I completed that. They kept me on as an instructor. And I was an instructor with a 45 caliber pistol and traffic control was my duties. And usually when we got a break, I was selected to work with the Eisenhower party that came to Augusta, Georgia to play golf. And I assigned directly to Press Secretary Haggerty. And I drove the car. I guess my main duty was kind of a go-for. I would leave post Fort Gordon in the morning. I had to wear civilian clothes. I wore civilian suit, and I went to our motor pool and picked up the General's sedan. Drove downtown and parked first went to the airport and picked up all the newspapers in major cities. I went downtown, separated them, went in the parking garage, and picked up and started driving 1958 Edsel. I drove the Edsel from the hotel out to the golf course and gave him air. And I gave him the paper. But the highlight of my thing was one morning I was delivering papers, and Eisenhower was coming down the steps. And I met him, and we talked, shook hands, and that was, the first president that ever shook hands with. So that did it. And then that was about the time the Cold War was beginning to start. And so it was, it already started, but Russia was really acting up, and so I was stationed in a small ordnance company, it was way back in the mountains, and it was surrounded by big fence. You couldn't get in unless one way in and one way out. And they would bring in the missiles. Everything would come in and done at night. And so they'd come in with the missiles. They carried them, put them in caves, back up in the mountain caves. They would lead the missile, and the next ship would be the warheads. They'd come in, they'd go back in. And in those caves, they are loaded, they put the warheads on missiles, so they're ready to go, and then they'd ship them out. But we never had to be clear of the top secret to get back there. But I only had secrets, so I could only go so far. So, which suited me fine. But then Khrushchev, he acted up, and they called us all together. We'd go up to the Air Force Base, take over traffic control. This Air Force Base traffic control, we'd always have a good controversy about who was going up. So you get to eat at the Air Force mess hall. And Army mess hall you didn't get. And so it's nice to get glass and chinaware and all that. You go through the line and cook and say, how do you want the eggs? How do you want this?
anything that we had seen for the next 5 years. I think 5 years have been up, but so that's pretty much it. I really didn't do anything other than what most people do. And to me, the real hero is the one who gave the ultimate sacrifice and lost their lives. And the others, the next one is the one that's wounded in combat. And then the next one is the one that served in combat. And then the next one, people like me, we didn't do anything, so we shouldn't expect anything. We just everything, just go lead our lives and not depend on the government for any kind of support. I think that the Army, I think I received more education, more how to get along with people in the military than any school or anything I've ever attended. I think I received more from the Army than I gave. I think, they teach you how to get along with people. You learn to follow orders. You learn to work together. You become part of a team. Because, you just don't make it unless you are. You bless it. So, I think it's an excellent experience as far as I'm concerned.
Did you lose any of your friends while you were in service?
No, I didn't. I think, when I came home, nothing had changed. A bit older, and more mature. You look at things a little differently when you come home than when you left, Take advantage of everything that they offer. All your schools, or anything that they offer, training, take it. I guess the most vivid memory of mine of being in the military was, serving the two, I'd say the top two would be, one would be serving in the Eisenhower Party, political party. I really learned a lot about the political scene. And second is that I wasn't overly fond of being stationed in this small town and so confined, but now I'm home, I enjoy it. The only thing I'd say is I'd recommend every young man to go in the military. They can get on good, mature, learn how to get along with people.
My name is Randy Ross. I served with the U.S. Navy, and I served 2 years active duty above the USS Saratoga CVA 60. We made a world tour. The first tour was in the Mediterranean, and served there. And then we were called to replace the USS American. We went to the Gulf of Tonkin in Vietnam, and served there. I was in college and was actually playing too much cards in the students, and I was 1A, and I knew they were coming to get me. So right now where the art center is, that was the post office, and I went there in search of the name because I felt like I would lend myself better to riding a ship than I would be dodging bullets. So I actually went there, and the Navy recruiter was not there. So I proceeded out to the Naval Reserve on Highway 87, asked if they knew where he was, and they said, well, no, we don't know where he is. However, we need 3 people. And I said, no, you only need 2. I want one of those spots. So I joined the Naval Reserve, and with that, it required a 6-year enlistment. 2 of those had to be on active duty. I was stationed out of Mayport, Florida, out of Jacksonville, and I was stationed aboard the USS Saratoga CV-60. It was an aircraft carrier. It had like 5,000 people on board. I'd never really been anywhere out of Alabama very much, so we went on our first med cruise in 71. The first overseas place I saw was Scotland, and midway through the cruise we had flag staff aboard the ship. And of course, you get the best ports, so we pulled into Athens, Greece. We knew we'd be there for 2 years, so you could bring your dependents over there. So we stayed there. We knew we'd be there for 2 weeks, excuse me. So you knew you could bring your dependents over there and spend 2 weeks in Athens, so we did. Well, that was wonderful. However, when we started to depart after 2 weeks, we just were leaving the port and started out, and the number 3 engine room exploded, killing one guy, and we took on 44 feet of water. I thought the ship listed to the right. We went in general quarters, and there was sounding alarms, and I thought, oh my, I might have made a mistake by joining the Navy. So we actually had to go back into port and send out a false message that we were doing an exercise because the Russian ships were always trying to intervene. And we actually got to stay in Athens a whole month and a half later because they flew the parts over. And that wasn't such a bad deal at the time. I think I was a white hat. In other words, I was an enlisted person. So you're down on the lowest level and work your way up. So you really know what everybody's kind of going through. On our second deployment, we were called. I had been to Disney World. It just opened up. Brought some friends along, and we were having a great time. They took us out on an Independence cruise, and I forgot to tell my girlfriend wear pants. So we went out for the day, and she spent the entire day holding her dress tail down. So we spent the weekend in Disney World, and I got back to Grundy to about 4 o'clock, and I received a call about 5 and says, please return to the ship. And no questions asked. So at 6 o'clock, I got aboard a bus, Greyhound bus from Grundy, and went back to Mayport. We were called in to go to the Vietnam War into the Gulf of Tonkin to replace the USS America. The USS America had dropped bombs in the militarized zone, and they were pulling her, and they sent us over there. Being in a war zone, it makes you closer. If you're ever in the military, you're brothers or sisters forever. You know, there's a bond there that is really hard to describe unless you've been there. But the closeness, especially on an aircraft carrier, you're there 24/7, 12 on, 12 off. You're all in it together, fighting for one mission. And we would run out. You would be out at sea for 2 weeks, and you'd have fresh milk and food and all that. It'd be good. Within 2 weeks, you were out of everything. We drank Kool-Aid, which is affectionately known as bug juice. So in 2 weeks, we had bug juice. So when we did get to go into port, it was a lot of fun and a lot of camaraderie. But I think the most afraid I've been was we worked in radio. I never thought typing in high school would ever do me any good. However, I was wrong because when my MOS came up, they said, oh, you would be perfect with teletype. So they sent us to Bainbridge, Maryland to teletype school for 8 weeks, and we learned to do figures, numbers, typing. But anyway, our job in the military was radio, and we knew everything basically before any other people did. Back then, they had the old broadcast with the news media, yellow broadcast that run continuously. So our job was to pull the traffic off the broadcast, route it to our ship and the support ships that were in there. And one day we got one that said, please back down the hatches. We're facing a tidal wave. Now, in my mind's I can imagine it just turning that aircraft carrier over. And that was kind of scary, but I think the most fear we had was we were constantly bombarded with traffic about, it was called flash. Flash traffic means you had to get it and disperse it as quickly as possible. MiG fighters from Russia trying to bomb the place and all this. You were just in a constant state of fear that something might go wrong. But then you were bonded more than ever. I know that sounds kind of crazy. But you knew you were in it together in one mission. And when we did pull in to Subic Bay, or we actually went to Hong Kong and stayed a couple of weeks, when you saw the American base and that American flag, the red, white, and blue, you knew the quality of life that you became used to was going to be there. The things that we would run out so quickly with and just took for advantage, and, that they would be here. We knew we could find them there.
Did you lose anybody that was close to you while in the military?
We had some that were killed. We lived on the old 3 level, which was right under the flight deck. And one day they were doing flight operations, and one of the people from Flight Ops came too close to the afterburner and it sucked him up and fried him like a French fry. And we would lose sometimes. When you're approaching an aircraft carrier, you're going at full speed, you drop the hook. So if you don't catch the hook to stop the aircraft, you take off. A lot of times we'd have something that didn't make it go over, but we lost quite a few. My thing to leave with people is, if you'll just have patience and let things work out like they're supposed to, usually they do. Because in my wildest imagination, would I ever thought that I'd be working for the VA, and I've been here over 20 years. It was a learning experience. course, you learn a lot. You learn patience, and you learn to be sympathetic to other people. You see where they're coming. A lot of people, I'm surprised at the veterans and the widows that don't know the benefits that are here for them. I don't really know how they ever find out in large cities and metropolitan areas what's there, because it's hard in a small area like we are.
My name is Charles Saunders. I was born in 1925 and graduated when I was 17, went to the Army when I was 18. And I was inducted in the Army in Fort McClellan, Alabama in 1943. I got my basic training in Jackson, South Carolina. And a year from the day I went in the Army, I was in the beaches of Normandy. And Normandy is in France, where the invasion was. I was 19 when they invaded France. I was 19 when they invaded France. That was June 1944. I graduated in 43, which was right in the middle of the war. And all about 30 students in my class, 18 of them were boys, and every one of them went in the military. I went into the service and we went overseas, and our ship landed in Scotland. We were one of the first ships to go overseas without an escort. And the reason for it was because they needed troops and they needed them in a hurry to get ready for the invasion. But when we got in the English Channel, it was so full of ships, we couldn't dock. We had to go all the way around England and come into Scotland. So we landed in Glasgow, Scotland, and came on down to Birmingham, England, and to London. And when I got to London, I saw my first effects of the war. It was tore up to smithereens. We stayed in England till June of 44. And we landed in Utah Beach. Now, Utah is down the beach from Omaha Beach. And Utah Beach was a backup beach in case Omaha failed. And Omaha had a lot to fight. And just luck out here that they survived. And Omaha Beach lost 2,000 soldiers that first day. And in Utah, we lost only 255. And of course, I was lucky to go to Utah Beach. I guess I was lucky. And from there, we went in on first town was St. Mary Le Leash. And from there, we went up to St. Lo, from St. Lo to Paris, and from Paris up to Le Mans, France. And that's where the Battle of the Bulge started, December 18, 1944. And we went around Bastogne up to Montreal and camped out the first 2 or 3 days and had roadblocks and all that. And we could see the Siegfried line from Montreal, and we came back down toward Bastogne and set up roadblocks, checkpoints. We had a lot of German soldiers slipping through the lines, dressed up like Americans. And they could speak English just as good as we could, And the purpose of it was to get information where the troops were and where they were going and all that. And there was 18, we captured 18 of them and shot them the next day. You see, a German soldier, if they caught wearing the enemy uniform, same way with us, they had on American uniforms and they were German soldiers and they were caught, so they not due process law because they were considered spies, so they didn't have a court martial. And they were shot in St. Vincent, Belgium. And you know, the Belgian people didn't want to bury them on their soil. And after the war was over, they dug them up, took them to Germany. They run
situation. There we went to the Siegfried line, got over across the Rhine River in Cologne, Germany. And from Cologne we went on up to, all this was a year now. Time we started in June until the war was over in May of the next year. And all that time I had 2 showers. I remember both of them. And but really he didn't want the shower. It was so cold he couldn't stand it. So we just had to take a little bath and we heat out water in our helmets and things like that, you know, and sponge off. And we just didn't have any washing material. If you wash your clothes, you hang up in the bushes and let them dry. And they'd bring your food to the front sometime. They'd reach you sometime, sometimes you go 3 or 4 days without eating it. And we didn't have anything to eat. We was scour the countryside and rob the Germans of their food. The farmers, the chickens, the hogs, whatever we could find, we'd kill them and eat it. And we went to a little town called Odell, Germany. And Odell was about 25, 30 miles from the Elbe River. And we had no idea what was going on in the war. They didn't tell us, you know. But Roosevelt and Stalin had an agreement to let the Russians take Berlin. So when we got to Odell, Germany, we stayed there for 30 days. Which was good for us. While the Russians were taking Berlin. And the American army had to take Berlin with a lot of 100,000 soldiers. So we were lucky we didn't have to go into Berlin. So I didn't get to see Berlin. And in fact, I went to a hanging over in Germany. I had to guard a brother that was convicted of rape named Honey in Morlaix, France. They had a man who went around all the country on a little flatbed truck with a scalpel on the back of it. And if you got in trouble, then they'd hang you. And it's also a $60 fine to be caught talking to a German, women or men, because they were dangerous. Fraternizing with the enemy. I was in the 9th Army up in the northern part of Europe. General Simpson was in charge of the 9th Army and 21 infantry divisions. And he had to be a combat infantry. He had to be 6 feet tall or taller, well dressed to guard the general. And that was a good service. That was good duty because it was pretty safe. And they got one night they had, I think, 25 or 30 of us guarding the general. And his headquarters was in the whole city block of Cologne, Germany. And we had to guard the whole perimeter around his headquarters. And being just 18 years old, I was covered. Of course, I was scared. And I'd go down this corner and look at the steeple of the church steeple. If I made it to that corner, I'd shoot that steeple with a tracer bullet. Then I'd come back to the other corner and I'd shoot another direction. And the other man that met me coming from the other direction, the other MP would do the same thing if he made it from post to post, which is all the city block. But it was dangerous. They would take mark cutters and cut the enclosure. It had barbed wire all around the enclosure. And the Germans would cut it. And they had a funny, they'd muff it, had a big like a muffin. And a war cutter, they just take and cut the wire. And watch you, he went down to the other end, they come in and start cutting. And when he start back, they run. But anyway, we had I got so scared one night I could hear him cutting. And I got so scared I was blocking it. And that wasn't unusual. I went back to the camp, to the headquarters in that street, and told them they couldn't handle it anymore, so they replaced it over 2 hours. And then 2 hours later, they put it back on there. When the war was over, we went to Marseille, France, down the southern part of France. The reason some of our men went overseas, to Philippine Islands, places like that, but I was so young, I didn't have enough points to come home. I don't know whether you're familiar with that, the point system. You got discharged by the number of points you had. You had half a year, half a point for a year. I wasn't 21 years old at that time, so I didn't have many points. You had so many points if you were married, and another 10 or 15 points if you had children. And I wasn't qualified hardly any points. The only points I got was for 3 campaigns. It was 3 battles that was in the invasion, Central Europe, and the Rhineland. I got 5 points for each one of those battles. A battle of every campaign they call it. So I had not quite enough points to come home, so we went up to Nuremberg, Germany, where they had the trial for all the war criminals. And I had the privilege, I guess you call it privilege, of Herman Göring. And he was in charge of the Luftwaffe. I saw Rudolf Hess, Herman Göring, Albert Speer, all the high criminals. 12 of them were committed to death in the Nuremberg trial. But I didn't get to stay there till the whole thing was over. I got to come home. And that's a short history. It was interesting, and the war was interesting. I wouldn't want to go back to it again, but I wouldn't take anything for it.
My name is Hawkins, Dr. Jack Hawkins, Chancellor of Troy University. I served proudly in the United States Marine Corps. It was back during the 60s, and I began in Virginia and went from there to Camp Lejeune, and then did a tour in Vietnam in 1968 and 1969 before coming back to the States. Those were some really interesting times during the 60s, and I often thought it was almost analogous to being on an island of innocence on a sea of social change, because the dynamics were so hard and fast and ever present. We ranged from going from the civil rights movement to an anti-war movement, which was not received well by those of us who were asked to go to war. And I think some of the most vivid memories probably occurred during my service in Vietnam. I served as a platoon leader in the Marine Corps. And what I have cherished most over the years, besides the relationships with my Marines, and those relationships, even though that was more than 50 years ago, those relationships have continued. And in fact, I'm very proud that several members of my platoon continue to come to Troy each year for the military appreciation game. So not only were they Marines, but they've become good Trojans, good Trojan warriors over the years. And so I think probably life itself is about relationships. I mean, and that's what you learn. I think the older you get, you place a much heavier value on people and relationships. It's not about things. It's not about portfolios. It's about people and making a difference in the lives of other people. And so I hope through that service and that period of time as a platoon leader, which I cherish most, I think, of all the experiences I had in the Marine Corps. But it was also not without a great deal of appreciation that I learned some very basic lessons in leadership. And those were probably the more lasting of the differences that I experienced. And so I value those lessons, and I hope they continue to play out in my life every day. In view of my generation, almost every man that I knew when I grew up in the 50s, early 60s, had either been in World War II or in Korea. And so there was never any doubt once I was 12 years old and older that I was not going to be in the Marine Corps.
And so that was exactly why I went to college. Almost joined as an enlisted man, took the test, and they encouraged me to go to college, which was a novel idea for me because nobody in my family had gone. And so it was that recruiter in the United States Marine Corps that changed my life. And so I went to college. When I graduated in '67, I received a commission as a lieutenant, and that made the difference as well. How did it prepare me? I think leadership is leadership, whether it's in the Marine Corps or in higher education or government service or business. And so I think those very basic lessons in leadership that I learned through experience, basic lessons like lead from the front, never ask anyone to do what you're not willing to do, lead with enthusiasm, eat last. You take care of your troops before you take care of yourself, and that applies in business or in education. As it relates to higher education, we preach here, the most important thing we do is serve students. And that means you eat last. You take care of your students first. And so those life lessons, attitude, attitude determines altitude. And then and direction. All of those things that you learn early in life can be very valuable to you. And I feel honored to have worn the uniform, and I feel like it had structured me in no small way. And in fact, I would say that the most valuable experience I've had in my life was serving in the United States Marine Corps. Troy University, in addition to serving on the domestic front, has been active worldwide. We serve students at a distance in 13 time zones. But we are also very proud that since 2002, we've had a strong presence in Vietnam. And a lot of people find that interesting in view of the fact that we were at war in Vietnam until 1975. And so in 2002, and this is an NBA helmet that was worn by the other side. And interestingly, now Troy offers academic programs in 3 different locations in Vietnam. One being in Hanoi, the capital of what was North Vietnam. And in fact, where we stay when we go to Hanoi is only a half block from the Hanoi Hilton, where all of our DOWs were imprisoned for all of those years. But we also offer programs in Ho Chi Minh City and this fall in Da Nang. And oddly enough, our partner in Da Nang was a war hero with the other side during the war. And yet today, we're collaborating in partnership to educate the youth of that country. And so, it often is said that, that we could have won the war had we not lost it politically. I'm not convinced the war is over. I think we may yet win the war. Because today we have over 1,000 graduates in Vietnam. Not one of them ever asked to study socialism or communism. They want to know how this free market works. And these young people, many of them have studied with us completely on the ground in Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City, or Da Nang, soon to be Da Nang. Or many of them have come here. They'll start with us in Vietnam and they'll want the American experience, and then they'll come here. But whether they come here or not, they are real Trojans. And it's a pleasure for me to think that going forward, America will have real ambassadors, and by and large, these students who graduated with that degree from Troy, and we were the first American university to ever award the bachelor's degree in Vietnam, and we're very proud of that service. But these young people believe in America, and they're going to make a difference in Vietnam. So in the end, we may have just lost the battle. We may win this war.
I was in the Army Reserves, Army National Guard. I worked civil service for the Army, and then I was on the counter-drug team for the United States Army. Okay, the to my family. Every job I applied for, I've received because of my military background. The military made me become more independent and just a hardworking, good person. The military taught me how to budget my money, how to take care of my daughter. I was a single mother, so I did very well taking care of my daughter. I will always remember my basic training friends, and I was 19 when I met them. It was Elder, Adams, and Roach in the house. When they saw us, they always said Elder, Adams, Roach in the house. So I remember all my military friends, the ladies I worked with at the state military department, my bosses, my everything. I just remember. I will always remember those ladies and some of the guys. Okay. Now, I think the general public has a lot of respect for the military. Everywhere I go, when people find out, they're always thank you for your service. And I remember we had a uniform on every day because I had to wear the military uniform to work. So everybody, a lot of respect. I receive a lot of respect in Troy. Now, to a young person, I would recommend because of the discipline, because they'll pay for school. And if you go to the military, you're kind of guaranteed a job. You're going to always be employed. I just recommend it for all young people. Even if you're going to college, I still recommend the military. The best thing about the military is my military retirement. But I enjoy the military. The people, like I say, I met a lot of wonderful people. I had a lot of opportunities, and I was able to pass some of them on to the people that I met. So the military gave me a lot of opportunities. And like I say, I recommend the military to all the young people. Like I went when I was 19, and I always send my young people to some of the recruiters that I know in Troy. So, and it's Army that I send it to.
Which is the best branch of the military?
Army is the best branch of the military.
We were in the military in October of 1961. Went to Augusta, Georgia for basic training at AIT. Left Augusta and went to Fort Dix, New Jersey for a week. From Fort Dix, New Jersey to Frankfurt, Germany. From Frankfurt, Germany to Schweinfurt. And I spent a year and a half in Schweinfurt. The last 6 months I spent in Berlin. And came home in September of '63, was in reserve. Went in reserve in January of '64 and stayed in reserve until 1967. Stayed out 7 years, 1974. I went back in reserve in finance, especially right here on 87 at the old reserve center, which is the City for Education. At that time, I was the first black that ever drilled in that building. And so it was amazing then when I was there. Then I went on and made a career. I went back to Germany 30 years later in 1993. Made two tours to Korea in 88 and 96, I believe. Then stayed there until I got ready to retire. I'm trying to think. I stayed in Opelika as a first sergeant for 15 months. Then I retired. I enjoyed it where I went. It was an experience. And back in those days, I'd never been away from Alabama, so it was an experience for me to do that. To be all you can be, that's the best. Whatever you're assigned to, do your best. And that was my motto, and I tried to do that. And if I feel like I've been mistreated, I knew how to do this challenge to find out why I had to do it. So far, I didn't have a whole lot of problem.
You and your son have both served in the military. Does that make your father-son bond stronger, do you think?
Yes. what you want to do. The military is the place to go, and that give you a chance to make a decision on what you want to do. You just go, if you go to school, you don't like it, you drop out, nothing that way. But if you go to the military, you talk to different sort of folks and whatnot, and take your mind out what you want to be. That's the best thing you can do, especially when you get out of high school. You try to go into the military and get some experience, because the jobs today, first thing they're going to ask you is how much experience you got.
I was in the United States Marine Corps from 1965 until 1980. And I joined in the reserves in 65 and then went on active duty when I graduated from Troy University in 69. And I served in, I went to Quantico, Virginia. I had 2 summers of training in Quantico. And then I went to Camp Lejeune. And then they sent, out of 250 hours, they sent 187 to Vietnam, because that was the war of choice back then. There's the good side and there's the bad side, and I don't focus on the bad side. I focus on the good side, and I would have to think that the memory that stands out more than anything is when you have an A6 or an F4 coming in to drop some ordnance on some bad guys, and you may be in a bad situation, and all of a sudden these guys come in and they eliminate the situation, so you're kind of relieved. It's like getting out of school early, so you're relieved. That's the one memory. The other memory is just the funny things with the young men. These are boys that are 17, 18, and 19 years old, and old men don't fight wars, young men do. And what that means is that young men, they're so brave, they have so much courage, and they have so much dedication, and they feel the greatest thing in their life is fighting for their country. And these guys will do things that you just can't believe what they'll do. And they should be at their high school graduation. Most of them quit school back then. And in the Marine Corps, a lot of them were told you go to jail, you go to the Marine Corps. So we had a lot of those. And these guys quickly turned into unbelievable fighting men. And that's the thing I remember, and I remember it every day, is how young they were and how innocent yet how wise they were. And they just should have been at their palms, and instead they're knee deep in a rice paddy with somebody trying to kill them. That always broke my heart, but made me so proud. I served in Vietnam with a young man named John Schmidt. Colonel Schmidt was in my battalion, and he was a hard charger. He was a good man, and God bless him to this day. I love him like a brother. The 7th was National Purple Heart Appreciation Day. So I always get texts and emails from brother Marines that were wounded, and we always tell each other how stupid we were to get shot. And so it was the same thing this year, which reminds me of John Schmidt. And of course, Chancellor Hawkins was wounded as well, and he's a member of my Purple Heart unit, as is Hal Moore, that wounded British soldiers once and young. General Moore was a member of my Purple Heart unit as well. The brotherhood, you focus on the brotherhood, you focus on the Marine Corps, and that's all that matters. In Vietnam, we were out there 3 months at a time. We just go back to the rear, take a shower, myself. Because my grandfather passed away and he helped raise me when I was in Vietnam. The Red Cross wanted to know if I wanted to go home. And I said no. I couldn't do it because I couldn't believe how that go home and go back. I couldn't do that. We relaxed during the day and we fought at night. Vietnam was a nighttime war pretty much, except when there was just an all-out push. But anyhow, Babyface falls in the ditch, so we get back up there, and I asked my platoon sergeant, I said, give me a count. So you count down, we're missing somebody. I said, who's missing? And his squad leader said, Babyface. So I said, oh, God. So I said, go find him. It's night, and there's bad guys around. We're trying to be quiet, but we can't. He had such a baby face. He looked like a baby. He was just a cuddly little kid. And they go back and they find Babyface. He had fallen into a ditch. He was scared to move. So he was laying there and died of this pain. And they get him and bring him up to our position. Well, I fuss at him a little bit and then hug his neck and tell him to get in his position. 2 weeks later, we're moving to another position. We have to go through the same general area to go to it. We get up and count off, we're missing somebody. Babyface had fallen off that log and fallen into that same freaking ditch he had done a couple of weeks earlier. So the big fuss was, do we just leave it right in that ditch or do we go find him? So we went, the danger of going back to find him is that he may get scared. When you come around, he may shoot you. So, it's not a matter of saying, hey, come here. He might just take his, he might just decide to unload a magazine of rounds on you. All of my ancestors, the Cardinals fought in the Revolutionary War, and my family has been fighting in wars ever since. My grandfather was wounded in the Boxer Rebellion in Tientsin, China, and lost the use of his legs. My dad was in the reserve, but he was in the military, so we've been in every war this country's ever fought in. And I still have friends today that it's a bond of blood, and I won't see them for 5 years or 10 years, but as soon as I see them, it's like we never were apart. It's the brotherhood. That's what makes it so important. And I still have some of my men from Vietnam that call me or text me or want to get together about once every 2 years, which means more to me than anything in the world. Greatest thing I ever did in my life was join the Marine Corps. No telling where I'd be if I hadn't done it. I owe it a lot.
My name is James F. O'Neill. I'm better known by the name Jim. I served in the Army Air Corps, and I went in June of 1943. I was a senior in high school in 1942 and 43, and in March of 1943 I turned 18. And by law, I had to immediately register with the draft. And I was aware that if a person turned 18 and was a senior in school, that person would be deferred until they graduated if the principal wrote a letter to the draft board. So I asked my principal, was to go with William Hughes, if he would write the letter to the draft board, and he did. And they deferred me until I graduated from high school in May. About a week later, I was sent to the induction center in Anniston, Alabama, and there we did physical examinations, and we were sworn into the service if we were physically able. And it was kind of a joke back then that if you were breathing, they would take you. And I came back to Troy for about a week and then had to go to Fort McPherson in Atlanta, Georgia, and the janitor in the chapel, and I wrote his letters for him, and I did whatever he asked me to do. And he was transferred to Italy, and then Chaplain Goldberg, William Goldberg, came in, and he was just a wonderful man. And so I worked with him until October of 1944. And at that time I wasn't asked to, I was ordered to go to a youth field in Colorado Springs called Peterson Field. So I went there. I went from Galveston, Texas to Peterson Field. I formed some wonderful friendships, and I enjoyed serving in the Army. A lot of the Army personnel felt that the food was terrible. I found the food to be good. And so I just formed a lot of friendships and kept in touch with a lot of people for a long time.
Is there one memory that stands out more than others?
I think so. I was stationed at Biggs Field in El Paso, Texas for a while, and there I was connected with a unit that had air drones, and our job was to fly out little planes by remote control, and the Army artillery at Fort Briggs, which was also in El Paso, they would shoot them down. And so my job was to make sure that we had enough drones to fly out so that the people could shoot them down. After the service, I went in and got my college education, and then I spent 47 years teaching school. One of the things I think that means a lot to me is patriotism, and I certainly was required to have a lot of patriotism in the military. We always started in line with land and raising the flag, and we wound up the day putting the flag down. And I think patriotism and love of country. I just think that the military service would be good for anybody that goes in with a positive attitude. And during the time that I served, everybody felt obligated to serve, and everybody was glad to serve. No one thought that it was a burden upon them, and many people that did a lot of things that affected their lives much more than mine did. I served, and then I went to college, and there were a lot of men that had families that went in the Army and that had to leave their families, and some of them didn't come back.
Harold Lassiter, and I was in the Navy from 1948 to 1952. But the Korean War came along, and I was extended for 1 year. And in the Navy, I was Navy hospital foreman, which is a nurse, so to speak. And beyond that, I was an OR technician, operating room technician. And my time was spent in San Diego, of course, it's the training center for boot camp. But the rest of the years were spent at Naval Hospital at San Diego, California, which is a tremendous place. It's not one building, it's multiple buildings. And you may have heard of the world-class zoo, San Diego Zoo. Well, the gates were straight across from each other. San Diego was a proud member of my being in the Navy because it was hands-on in the best way I did what Darlene does here in Troy. And a specialist be like that. The hospital itself, the 2,500 bed hospital, the second largest paid hospital in the nation. And I got my training on ORT asset day. And that training gave me training enough that I could be the sole medical personnel on board small ships, like a destroyer, or maybe a cruiser, but it was out. So, then we come to Korea, and I think Korea started in 1950. I think that's when they started over there. And we were strange. We were a strange outfit because we were Navy personnel, but they assigned us to the U.S. Army up above Busan. And we operated a active surgical unit right behind the battle lines. The Marines were in front of us, and the battle line ran, of course, east and west. And I have worked as much as 36 hours without any relief. The more surgery you had to do, the more lives you could save. And it was certainly wasn't a dull time. when we finally got relieved over there, we were in a prisoner of war camp. They had North Koreans and Chinese prisoners by the hundreds of thousands. And we really had to take the incoming Army personnel and acquaint them with how we operated, how we did our job. And of course we were glad to do that because it meant the more people you can save, that's what you're there for. Came, I've been enlisted for 3 years, 18 years old, and everybody that was on active duty got a 1-year extension. So I didn't get out in 3 years. I stayed 4. And all of it wasn't too bad. It was expected to be that way.
What did you do when you left the service?
I went to Troy State. And Troy State. And in pre-med, which you'd be surprised, of course, you have to take in pre-med so you can get to medical school. But I met this young lady over here, and that took my medical school out. All I want to do was get married to her.
Hello, my name is Sarah Mickey Keller. I'm
26 years old and I'm from Grady, Alabama. I joined the military in 2014. I currently serve in the United States Army on active duty. I'm stationed at Fort Sam Houston, Joint Base San Antonio, JBSA Fort Sam Houston. My current position is I'm the NCO non-commissioned officer in charge of Mayfield Chapel. This is the gift chapel was gifted to Fort Sam Houston by San Antonio, the city of San Antonio, and inside I manage 2 soldiers and I assist the chaplain, so I'm a chaplain assistant. I joined the military for 3 reasons. I joined to support my only child, I'm a single parent. I also joined to empower women all across the world so women can do what men can do and serve our country just as men. And the last reason I joined is to protect the country for so many innocent people that's out there around the world. The leading role models in my life that inspired me to join the military has to be my 2 sisters. They were also veterans, and I want to follow their footsteps, and there's a lot of reason that I decided to join. They can do it and serve the country. I can too. In the military, you have a lot of great opportunities. You get to meet many people, and you have lasting relationships throughout the years to come. Especially when you get in basic training and you make those bonds, and it's like you're never alone. So when you think you're away from your family, you got so many different families that you become attached to. Another opportunity is college. I finished my college degree in the military. I also have a lot of great opportunities for you to use your college degree into the field, go into the field that you want to, cross train, and go into to be an officer. And also other opportunities as far as if you don't go to college, it can also give you the tools and the skill sets you need, the trade skill set to allow you to do what you want to do without getting a degree. Just gain a lot of experience throughout the military. You can see it in my son that he looks up to me and to look because he asks me questions. So do I fight the bad guys when I'm taking him to school? What do I do? And so it's very empowering. He knows that I'm out there fighting for the protection of this country, and it empowers him because he wants to know everything I'm doing. And I'm a good guy, and he thinks those are bad guys. As far as like the superheroes, he loves Superman and stuff, so he thinks I'm a superhero. Right now I'm active duty. I'm stationed in San Antonio. So I would encourage anybody who is willing to serve the country and be a part of something bigger than themselves to join the military. I would want somebody to join the military if they're dedicated, and just remember that they can do it. You can do it. So many other people have done it. Never give up.
I just want to say thank you guys all for coming. Thank you to Nelsie, Diana, and to all the veterans that took the time to share their stories. And we appreciate you guys coming and sharing this with us. So, thank you guys.
Mr. Charles has that same kind of photo album. He's got not just the photos, which his granddaughter, it would have been his granddaughter, went through at one point and showed.
Orion Baptist Church. And so he had that photo, a lot of the pictures he wrote actually impacted where he was. So it's like, wow. And so she still has what's called a guiding, that's the county flag. She actually lives up near Columbus, Ohio, up to. What was also very interesting is I met 2 or 3 people all. So really, what was my attempt to figure out, where did he do this? How did it remember as a young kid, they had, he was not 100. That's a long time to be away from home. And, you know, one of the gentlemen was talking about how it blocked label as well.
Mr. Charles has that same kind of photo album. He's got not just the photos, which his granddaughter, it would have been his granddaughter, went